Hey everybody, Rob Veno here, WagerTalk.com, WagerTalk TV, your Tuesday free plays with analysis. We're going to look to the NBA today. We're going to start with Cleveland at Orlando, then we'll work our way over to the Milwaukee Bucks versus Houston Rockets. But first, let me just make everybody aware today is $5 Tuesday over at WagerTalk.com. $5 play from each of the participating handicappers over at WagerTalk.com. If you have not tried out any selection packages yet, today's the perfect day to do so. $5 Tuesday. You can get a handicapper's top play for the low price of just $5. So go ahead and visit over at WagerTalk.com. Pick up a $5 play. Pick up a pair. Pick up three while they run this all through midnight here tonight. WagerTalk.com, $5 Tuesday. Let's take a look at Cleveland at Orlando here. Eastern Conference matchup. Cleveland opens up 5.5, 225.5. Currently, Cleveland up to 7 total, pushed down to 222.5 for the Cavs. Darius Garland, their starting point guard, questionable here, did not play in their last game because of a hip injury. Ty Jerome filled in nicely, scored 26 in place of Garland in that game. For Orlando, their point guard as well, Jalen Suggs, remains out. He's going to miss his 13th straight game with that quad injury. Take a look at the schedule here. Cleveland had yesterday off. They did play the other night, so day of rest for Orlando. Second team with a day of rest here. So there's really no scheduling advantage here for either side. They should be well rested in this game. Take a look at the matchup here. Both of these teams coming out of the gate after the All-Star break, they're in solid form, 8-2 straight up combined, 7-1-2 against the spread combined. Since the break, the Cavs are 5-0 straight up, 3-0-2 against the spread. But they're on polar opposite sides where game totals are concerned. The Magic are 5-0 to the under. The Cavs are 4-1 to the over. We'll see which side wins out here. Matchup-wise, Cleveland generally has the interior size advantage, points in the paint, second chance points. They've got a lot of tall guys down low there. But the Magic, they're one team that can negate that advantage. Orlando has frontline depth. You start going through their starting front line of Wendell Carter Jr., Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and then you go to the bench and you get Goga Batadze and Jonathan Isaac, just a host of size guys with length and height for the Magic. So for Cleveland, it could be a little bit of a challenge here, getting those defensive rebounds and second chance points. The Magic allow the absolute lowest defensive rebound percentage in the NBA over the last 20 games. And the Cavs, like I say, they like to get second chance points off their defensive board. So that could be neutralized here. The backcourt edge certainly goes to Cleveland here, especially with Suggs out. If Garland does not play, I would still give a slight lean towards Cleveland's backcourt. KCP is a good defender, which can kind of negate some stuff that Cleveland does. But Cleveland, the better backcourt here. Point guard for Orlando, Cole Anthony's been pretty steady with ball protection. He'll have to be here. Cleveland feasts off of turnovers and points off of turnovers. But for the most part, Cole Anthony's been okay. I think that Orlando at home probably can avoid a lot of these fast tempo stretches. Cleveland's a tempo team. So a lot of contrast here in this matchup, but let's take a final look at it. Orlando's one of these teams right now where, at least where I'm concerned, they're just a mechanical play. Wake up, play an Orlando game under, wait for the result, in all likelihood, cash your ticket. They are 5-0 under out of the break. Off of the closing line, their 5 games have stayed under that total by 14 or more 3 times, and by 1 and 4 points the other 2 times. Those were both against the Atlanta Hawks, the 1 and the 4. And Atlanta, as we know, all offense, absolutely zero defense. So for Orlando to stay under against them, pretty significant. This game probably opened up a little bit too high total-wise because of Cleveland's elite offense. They're number 1 in so many categories. And again, like I said earlier, Orlando defensively, they can combat a lot of that, and then they can combat Cleveland's pace with their pace, which is second slowest in the NBA. They're 29th in overall pace. To me, 222.5 still presents some room here. As I mentioned, coming out of the break, Orlando hasn't played a game that's exceeded 222. And Cleveland is a real good defensive team, too. Let's not sell them short. The addition of DeAndre Hunter into that rotation has helped the defense. So the free play for this game is going to be Cleveland and Orlando under the full game total of 222.5. Next up here, we're going to take a look at the Milwaukee Bucks and the Houston Rockets. Houston opens up here -4, 228. The current number, Houston 3.5. 226.5 the total. Some of that due to the questionable status of Dylan Brooks for the Houston Rockets and the questionable status of Fred VanVleet, who has missed the last 9 games with an ankle injury, but did practice yesterday. There's potential he could go here. Tari Eason also probably out of this game. So Houston, injury-wise, in a little worse shape than are the Milwaukee Bucks, who, of course, will miss Bobby Portis for the 4th straight game, serving that suspension. Look at this schedule and fatigue potential here for either side. Milwaukee had yesterday off, and it's interesting that Milwaukee's last 4 games have all been separated by a day off. So they shouldn't be physically taxed whatsoever. Houston has had the last 2 days off, so they're really well rested. Tonight's the first of a back-to-back. They play at home here again tomorrow against San Antonio. Slight advantage to Houston in the scheduling or rest department. Taking a look at the matchup here, the Bucks are 3-1 against the spread last 4. Houston is 1-7 over their last 8, which dates to before the All-Star break. They came in limping. They've come out limping a little bit. Milwaukee's defense, their points allowed number has been much better the last 4 games, only yielding 106.3 over that point in time. 2 of those were against Miami and Washington, but they held those teams really low. I think 100 and 101 points each. So 113 is the most they've given up. That's a significant difference and a positive difference for the Milwaukee defense. Rockets, meanwhile, have gone the other way. Defensively, they've given up 113.5 since the break. Houston's last 5 games, they've really picked up the pace. They're up to number 9 as far as tempo is concerned over that 5-game stretch. They're 18th on the season, just to give you some context. And a lot of that is due to the fact that when Jalen Green starts at point guard, Houston's just a much faster team than when Fred VanVleet starts at point guard. VanVleet runs a much more organized offensive show. Houston out and running when Green is running the show. So it'll be interesting to see if VanVleet goes here or not. Tonight, it will be a factor. The Bucks have slowed down a little bit in pace over the course of their last 5, down to number 16 in that department, but still the ability to run. And just reading a couple of Doc Rivers quotes, they think that their additions to their depth, mid-season additions, are going to help them as far as getting up and down the floor is concerned. Those mid-season acquisitions that I talk about, Kyle Kuzma, Kevin Porter Jr., Jericho Sims, all applauded by the head coach here, who says that Milwaukee's depth is now significantly better. Even without Bobby Portis, they can survive that 25-game suspension with these guys. He believes he's got the rotations figured out, and Milwaukee's ready to make a push. Houston 3-6 without VanVleet. Once again, important to see whether he goes or not. Quick look at this one. Final look. Milwaukee's a team that is now starting to talk about making a push into the top 4 in order to get a home floor inside the playoffs. They're already tied with Indiana on at that 4 spot. So Milwaukee, if they push, they can probably solidify these next 15, 20 games, a spot in with a home floor in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Houston almost in exactly the same position in the West. They're tied in games behind with the LA Clippers, but they do sit percentage points behind, and they're at a loss. They have an extra loss in the loss column more than the Clippers. So they're a little bit behind. They're ranked as 5th right now. They need to push as well. There's not a lot of separation between these 2 teams, but I think the injury factor could be key here. Rockets aren't playing well defensively, as I mentioned earlier, at this point in time. And without Dylan Brooks, he's got an illness. If he can't go, that's their top defender. Milwaukee's playing with a bit of a renewed confidence right now. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities in this game to score. This game has points where it's going to get up and down. Milwaukee's team total sits at 111.5, which looks like a very reasonable number considering what Houston's giving up lately, considering Milwaukee's options for scoring right now. So that's where we're going to go with this game. We're going to go free play. Milwaukee Bucks team total over 111.5. On the way out, I'd like to ask everybody to hit the like button if you like the selections and analysis provided here by Wager Talk handicappers each and every day. Go ahead and hit the like button, click subscribe, join the 196,000 people who have already done so. If you have a comment on this game or any other NBA game tonight, drop it in the comments section. We love to see what you guys have to say. I try to get to them as quickly as I can. For now, this is Rob Veno saying good luck with all your plays. We'll see you next time on Wager Talk TV.